राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे संकीर्तन की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 7th chapter, entitled Further Enquiries by Vidura, text number 27-28. Text number 27. Tiryanmanushadevanam Sarishrupapatatrinam Vadana Sarga Samyuham Garbhasvedadvijodbidham तिर्यन्मानुषदेवानां सरीसृपापतत्रिणां वदनसर्गसंयूहं गर्भस्वेदाद्विजोद्भिधाम् तिर्यन्मानुषदेवानां सरीसृपापतत्रिणां वदनसर्गसंयूहं गर्भस्वेदाद्विजोद्भिधाम् सरीसृपापतत्रिणां Mataji's Tiryanmanushadevanam Sarishupapatratrinam Vadana Sargasamyuham Garbhasvedadvijodbidam. Word to word in translation. Word to word. Tirya, subhuman. Manusha, human beings. Devanam, superhuman beings or demigods. Sarishripa, reptiles. Patatrinam, of the birds. Vada, kindly describe. Naha, unto me. Sarga, generation. Samyuham, specific divisions. Garbha, embryonic. Sveda, perspiration. Dvija, twice born. Udbijam, of the planets, etc. Translation. Also, please describe the living entities under different classifications. Subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born birds, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions also. As there is no purport, we will read the next verse also. Text 28. Gunavatare Vishwasya Sargastityapyayashrayam Srijati Srinivasasya Vachakshodara Vikramam. Translation. Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. And please describe the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his magnanimous activities. Purport, Mr. Prabhupada. Although Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature, are the principal deities for the creation, maintenance and destruction of the cosmic manifestation, they are not the final authority. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the ultimate goal, the cause of all causes. He is the ashraya or the final rest of everything. ॐ ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the daily morning Bhagavatam class. We seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees, Sri Prabhupada and everyone so that I can speak something inspiring on Bhagavatam for my purification and for the pleasure of all the devotees. So here we are in the third canto, 7th chapter of Bhagavatam, where Vidura is asking a series of questions to Maitreya so that the more discussion of the Krishna consciousness can happen. But interestingly, if you see all the questions, they are not directly related to Krishna, but they are related to all the various living entities and various material aspects of the life. So little bit going back, the Acharyas, they point out that the similar questions are being asked by Parikshit Maharaj in Canto 2, 8th chapter. So you just see the flow of Bhagavatam, how it is been going in just few minutes, so that we will know exactly why these all questions are coming over here and how to understand the position of these questions over here. So Bhagavatam starts in the first canto, all the description of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, entire thing is there. And towards the end of the first canto, Parikshit Maharaj meets Shukadeva Goswami and he asks two questions. They are the seed or that forms the essence of all the Bhagavatam. He says, what is the duty of the person who is about to die and what is the duty of a person in general? And without any delay, Shukadeva Goswami directly comes to the point and he straightforward says one should do devotional service starting with hearing and chanting. Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyasya Dhyaya Pujyasya Nityada. So one who is desiring fearlessness, he should do the hearing and chanting of the activities of the Supreme Lord. And then he presents the devotional service as a superior to Ashtanga Yoga. Devotional service is superior to the Devata worship. Devotion is the topmost thing he just presents. And then what Shukadeva Goswami has presented is one should hear the topics of the Supreme Lord. So now it seems the answer to the question is finished. What am I supposed to do? And Shukadeva Goswami said, you should hear, but the hearing should happen. So in the fourth chapter of the second canto, Parikshit Maharaj starts asking questions, because only when there is a inquiry, the discussions can start and descriptions can start. So Parikshit Maharaj asks about how the Lord has created this whole world and how this annihilated, how it is being maintained. Now the question was about one should glorify the Lord, the activities. One should hear about the activities of the Lord. And here the thing is been asked about how the universe is been created, how it is been maintained, how it is been annihilated. So we'll come to that. So the fourth chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asks the question. And then Shukadeva Goswami, there he narrates the description, the discussion between Narada and Brahma. The way Narada Muni goes to Brahmaji and asks, it seems you are the topmost person of this world, but I see you are also doing tapasya. For whom are you doing tapasya? For whom are you worshipping? And then Brahmaji very happily relates and presents about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gives the Virat Rupa explanation how the whole material world has been created. And then in the 7th chapter of 2nd canto, he presents the Leela Avataras, or the various activities of the Supreme Lord, in a very brief. And then there also it seems the discussion between Narada Muni and Brahmaji ended. And then in the 8th chapter of 2nd canto, Parikshit Maharaj again steps in. And then he asks a long list of questions. It seems one direct question is not sufficient. Asking to tell about creation, maintenance, and destruction, that is also not taking things forward. And then Parikshit Maharaj, almost for 14 verses, he goes on asking a long list of questions. And then the Shukadeva Goswami starts his answer by quoting the discussion between Brahma and Vishnu, the Lord, Supreme Lord. Before the creation, Brahmaji did tapasya, and then the Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him, and there the Chatushloki Bhagavatam comes. And then in the next chapter, he describes about the Virat Rupa. And then there are so many questions which have been asked in this chapter, they are not yet answered. So discussion is going further. But in between, the Shaunakadi Rishis, they step in and they say that it seems the topic is going so technical. We need to put a break. And then they ask, what happened to Vidura? I heard about Vidura, he met Dhritarashtra and then he went out. And what happened to him? We want to hear about Vidura. And then Shaunakadi Rishis are asking to Suta Goswami. And Suta Goswami says, he again brings back to the topic. Yes, even Parikshit Maharaj asked about Vidura. So let me describe about their discussion, the Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj discussion between Vidura. And then along with that, answer all the questions that Parikshit Maharaj is answering. So he doesn't too much deviate from the topic of answering the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, but still also incorporates the curiosity of Shaunakadi Rishis. And this also comes where some direct Krishna Katha comes in between the Bhagavatam. So 3rd canto starts where Shukadeva Goswami starts telling to Parikshit Maharaj that right till now I have described, I was answering to your questions by relating to the discussion between the Brahma and Lord Vishnu. And now I will answer your questions by relating the discussion between the Maitreya and Vidura. And then he was about to answer. But then Parikshit Maharaj also puts a hold and says, oh, I want to hear more about how Vidura and Maitreya, they both met together. So please tell me about their meeting. So that's how the whole third canto, first till fourth chapters, there's a whole discussion about how Vidura left the home and Vidura was doing, Vidura was going to all the various pilgrimage pages, and then finally he meets Uddhava, and there is wonderful description about the pastimes of Krishna. And then Uddhava asks Vidura to go to Maitreya, and then the discussion is taking further in the direction. And Vidura meets Maitreya, and then there also he asks similar questions. Please describe me about the creation, maintenance, how the creation has started. So Vidura also wanted to hear the topics about the Supreme Lord, but still he is asking about the creation topics. So it's the fifth chapter, and then there's a whole description of how various elements are being formed from the Lord, and then all the elemental devatas are doing prayers, offering prayers to the Virat Rupa, and only after that Virat Rupa gets activated, and then the discussions are going to go further. And now this is where we reach to the seventh chapter of Bhagavatam. So here also there are two set of questions. Initially Vidura asks about the questions about the position of the living entity and the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It says like, the Brahmaji has come from the navel of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Brahmaji has a material body. Now if somebody who is born from Vishnu, if he has a material body, does Vishnu also has a material body? Does Vishnu also come under the three modes of material nature? So these are the kind of questions that Vidura asks in the starting of the seventh chapter. And then Maitreya clarifies that that is not the case, and he places the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. The living entity is conditioned, but the Supreme Lord is never conditioned. And he says, the conditioning of the living entity can be removed only when one starts doing Harikatha. Asesha Shanklesha Shamam Vidatte Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare. The Supreme Lord, who is completely beyond this material world, when we start describing his pastimes and describing his glories, that's when the living entity also can go out of this material world. And then this set of questions, they come here, where Vidura goes on asking detailedly. So Vidura was asking about various vibhutis of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, various powers with which the Supreme Lord is running the whole universe. In the previous shlokas, Vidura was asked about Manus, the descendants, tell me about them, different planets and their situation and measurements. And now in this verse, he is asking about the categories of the living entities. There are 84 lakh species. So please describe how this all came about. And the second shloka, he is asking about the Gunavataras, O Lord. And Vidura goes further and he starts asking about the various Varnashrama dharmas. And he asks about Yoga, Jnana, Sankhya. And he asks about what is the position of the faithless people, the atheist. How the Yajna, Dana and Tapa has to be performed in different situations. And at the end he says, how to completely satisfy the Supreme Lord. And these questions are similar to what Parikshit Maharaj also asked. Parikshit Maharaj also asked the similar questions. What is the position of the living entity? What is the position of the Supreme Lord? What is the position of Virat Rupa? Explain about the time. He asked about the yugas, yuga dharmas, yuga avataras. What is about the apad dharma, sadharan dharma? Duties of the various living entities, he goes on asking. Parikshit Maharaj, interestingly, towards the end of his questions, he also says, okay, you please answer all the questions that I am asking, and you also answer those which I have not asked. Don't stop speaking. Please go on speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't stop because my questions are finished. So that eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj to hear, and here Vidura also presents various topics as an inquiries. But one question again comes, like, if Bhagavatam is about Krishna and we are supposed to discuss about the pastimes of Krishna, and why all these creations? So one thing, at the very beginning of the Bhagavatam, or like in the first canto of Bhagavatam, Shaunaka Rishis, they make one nice interesting point. The description of the Parikshit Maharaj is going on, and then Shuta Goswami narrates about the birth of the Parikshit Maharaj, then he became a king, and then he is about to describe the various activities that Parikshit Maharaj was doing. And then while doing all these activities, Suta Goswami says that Parikshit Maharaj has reached a place where a person is punishing or he is beating a cow and a bull. And then Parikshit Maharaj has punished him. And then he about to relate. And then at that point, Shaunaka Rishis, they make a further inquiry into the details of that particular instance, and they give a clarification also. So what was happening was something unheard. A cow and bull are being punished or are being beaten. This is something that Shaunaka Rishis have never heard. How can that happen in a Vedic culture? And the next surprising thing was Parikshit Maharaj is there in front of the person he has caught the person who is beating cow and bull, and he did not give him a capital punishment. He did not kill him. He has just given some punishment and then left. So this must have been something very special. Otherwise, it was unheard in a Vedic culture that a person can go on killing cows. So, but still, Shaunaka Rishis, they say, give us the details only if it is relating to Krishna Katha. If it is not related to Krishna Katha, we don't want to hear all the details. If it is related to Krishna Katha, only then you give the details. And then the whole description of how Kali was catching, and then whole detail to the description, this goes on. But the point is made very clear over here by Shaunaka Rishis that all the descriptions that which are happening in Bhagavatam are related to Krishna Katha. Yadi Krishna Kathashrayam. If they are related to Krishna Katha, only then you speak. So all these topics which are coming over here, even though they are not directly about the activities of Krishna, they apparently look like description of universal form, description of various living entities, varnashram dharmas and all, but ultimately they are connected to Krishna Katha. So one more point also comes, one more place also it comes, when Vidura is asking questions to Maitreya, he also gives this clarification. Vidura also says, in 5th chapter of 3rd canto it comes, Paravaresham Bhagavan Vrutani Shrutani me Vyasa Mukhad Abhikshanam. I have heard all these topics from Vyasadeva previously. Atrupnayakshulla Sukavahanam Tesham Rite Krishna Katha Amritaghavat. So, unless these topics are filled with Krishna Katha, they are not going to satisfy me. So now previously I heard all these varnashram duties and everything in connection to only people, how they are following. Now please describe all these things in relation to Krishna. So that's what Bhagavatam is presenting over here. So for a conditioned living entity who is attached to this material world, he wants to always talk and think about this material world. And the way of connecting that conditioned living entity to the Supreme Lord is first talk about what the conditioned living entity is attached to, and then show the connection between that particular place to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and slowly take towards the Supreme Lord. This is also some kind of a bridge preaching that which is going on. to connect in the conditioned living entities to the Supreme Lord. So, this brings to one more point also, like, is Bhagavatam meant only for the pure devotees to discuss about Krishna Katha? But the way the whole Bhagavatam starts, the Shaunaka Rishis, their main question was, the Kali Yuga is starting, and for that they were doing Yajna, Sahasra Yuga Satra. They were compassionate towards the Kali Yuga people. And now they have seen the Suta Goswami who have come over there, and they are asking questions. So, of how these people in Kali Yuga can understand the Supreme Lord. So, it is not just about the discussions about the Supreme Lord, but it is how a conditioned living entity, specifically in the Kali Yuga, can appreciate the topics of the Supreme Lord. Even Vidura, when he is asking questions about the to Maitreya, he also goes on speaking how the living entities in this material world are just struggling so hard for a very tiny bit of happiness, and to removing that, this Bhagavatam has to be spoken. So the Vidura also shows that compassion to the conditioned living entities. So Bhagavatam, when it comes, it is not just coming about the discussion about the Supreme Lord, but it is also comes out of a deep compassion that the acharyas they have, and that compassion is been forwarded even by the Srila Prabhupada and all the parampara acharyas, how they go down to the hearer, his place, and then they present. So now, going into today's verse, in today the Vidura was asking two questions. One, he is asking, describe the subhumans, humans, those born of embryo, those born of perspiration, those born of twice born. So there are various kinds of living entities, various kinds of bodies that the material nature provides, so that the living entity can fulfill his desires, his scheme of sense gratification. And then it is in presented. And there is one interesting thing here about 4 types of living entities. And Prabhupada at one place he talks about that in 4th canto. 4th canto, 24th chapter, Prabhupada in one purport he writes, since the material world cannot work independently, the living entities enter into the material manifestation in 4 different types of bodies. So generally in this material world we describe different species, but the Vedas they describe 4 different types of living entities. The 4 types of living entities born within this material world, some are born with the way of embryo, they are called as Jarayuja, and some are born by the way of eggs, they are called as Andaja, and some are born by the perspiration, they are called as Svedaja, and like the trees, and they are born by the way of seeds, they are the Udbhidaja. So in the last line of this today's verse also talks about Garbha, Sveda, Dvida, Udbhijaja. These 4 types of things, and further description will come in the details how the 4th canto, the children of Daksha, and from there how various living entities are being born. The whole description has been given over there. So I'll not go much into that. The second verse for which Prabhupada writes a purport, that's very little interesting. We will focus on that. So in the second question, the Vidura is asking Maitreya to describe about the Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Gunavatare Vishwasya Sargastityapyaya Ashrayam. So Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar, they are doing the creation, maintenance and dissolution of this world. Please describe about them. And then the next question within that verse was, please describe about the various activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in various incarnations. Now in the purport, Prabhupada writes, although Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature are principal deities of the creation, maintenance and destruction of the cosmic manifestation, they are not the final authority. So here, Vidura is asking to talk about the Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar. Generally, and Bhagavatam also gives a lot of description and a lot of activities of what Brahmaji has doing, what Lord Shiva is doing, and what Vishnu is doing in various capacity for the maintenance of this material world. But Prabhupada is clarifying over here is that they are not the final authority, and the final authority is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and he is the ultimate cause. So now Bhagavatam also presents in that same mood. It doesn't go on describing the Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva as the goal of somebody's worship. So if you see, Brahmaji comes in various places. Primarily he comes as the person who is creating. And then Brahmaji comes at various places as somebody who is mediating of all the issues. There was a issue with the Prithu Maharaj and Indra. There was a problem with Bali Maharaj. When Vamandev catches Bali Maharaj, it was the Brahmaji who comes and says, enough now. You have sufficiently punished Bali Maharaj, please give him mercy. And Brahmaji comes at the place of Priyavrat Maharaj. Priyavrat Maharaj was not ready to take up the kingdom, and Brahmaji comes and clarifies. So like that, Brahmaji's activities are been also described in the whole of Bhagavatam. But the position of Brahmaji is also very nicely given. In the words of Brahmaji himself, he says in the second canto, Tasyapi drashturishasya kotas tasya kilatmana srujyam srujami srishtoham ikshayevabhi chodita. Srujyam srujami srishtoham. I am creating that which is already created. Well, I myself, I am being a created being. So, Brahmaji says, his creation is not also completely independent. And then he goes further and he says, Brahmaji, he himself is also meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says, Na bharati menga mrushopalakshate, navai kvachin me manaso mrushagati, name hrishike nani patanti asatpate, yanme hrud outkantyavata drutohari. So Brahmaji says, my senses will never fall down because I have completely taken Supreme Personality of Godhead, completely taken shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Brahmaji has been described at various places of the Bhagavatam, but the connection between the Brahmaji, the position of Brahmaji, and whom Brahmaji is actually taking shelter, that is also very clearly mentioned. And there is various places Lord Shiva is also being talked about. The Lord Shiva comes at the very starting of the creation, where Shivji comes out of the eyebrows, in the between eyebrows of Lord Brahma, when Brahmaji was angry. And then Lord Shiva starts creating. And all the creations of Lord Brahma starts creating trouble to Lord Brahma. And then Brahma goes to Lord Shiva and says, your creations are causing a lot of trouble. This is supposed to be there at the end of the creation. You please stop your creation. So the activities of Lord Shiva is very clearly mentioned over there. What is the purpose of that? But then Lord Shiva goes into a pose of a meditation, and he is completely meditating on the Supreme Lord. And that meditating on the Supreme Lord also comes at various places. In the place of Daksha. Daksha comes into the assembly, and Lord Shiva, he was meditating on the Supreme Lord, and he could not receive Daksha. So, like that, constant meditation of Lord Shiva is also said. And Lord Shiva comes as a person who is merciful to the devotees or those living entities who are trying to take shelter of Lord Vishnu. Fourth canto describes Prachetas. Prachetas are been asked by their father to go and do tapasya. And they are going to do tapasya on Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Shiva, even without asking, he gives his darshan. Ravanasura and various asuras are doing lot of tapasya to get the darshan of Lord Shiva. And here Prachetas just decided to worship Lord Vishnu and they are on their path. And then Lord Shiva comes in front of them and he gives whole Rudra Gita. And he is very happy with Prachetas. So, Lord Shiva also seen in Bhagavatam as glorifying the devotees of Lord Vishnu. So very nicely it comes out in the case of Chitraketu Maharaj. Chitraketu Maharaj was a king, he gets a son, he loses the son, and then he gets instruction from Narada Muni, and then he starts doing devotional service. He perfects his devotional service within 7 days. He gets the darshan of Supreme Lord. And after that he is doing Hari Katha. He is just traveling in his Viman and doing Kirtan of the Lord. And then he comes in front of Shiva and Parvati Devi, where they are giving, Lord Shiva is giving discourse to various sages. And then Chitraketu Maharaj happens to speak something, and he happens to laugh at Lord Shiva. And then Mother Parvati gets offended. How can you laugh at Lord Shiva? What do you think about yourself? And then Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu Maharaj to become a demon. And Chitraketu Maharaj doesn't get offended anywhere. And then he just gracefully accepts the curse. And then Lord Shiva speaks about the glories of the devotees. Lord Shiva says, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bhibyati swargapa varga narakesu api tulyartha darshanam. He says, just look at the qualities of the surrendered souls of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. They are not at all afraid of Swarga, Apavarga or Naraka. They consider all these as same. So there Lord Shiva personally glorifies the Supreme devotees of the Supreme Lord and very clearly saying what is the goal of the life should be. That is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord and then doing devotional service. One more place also comes where Lord Shiva glorifies the devotees, that is in the 12th canto, where Lord Shiva is meeting Markandeya Muni. Markandeya Muni has got the darshan of Lord Vishnu and he is doing tapasya, he is in meditation on Lord Vishnu. And Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva are traveling and going on the aerial ways. And then Mother Parvati says, oh, look down, there is a sage who is doing tapasya, let us go and give him some benedictions. And then Lord Shiva says, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He doesn't need anything. He is completely satisfied by doing devotional service to the Lord. He doesn't ask, he doesn't hanker anything for these material things. But then Lord Shiva says, but still let us go and meet him. Because meeting a pure devotee of the Lord, that is the greatest benediction. Tatapi sambadishyami. Even though he does not want us, even though he does not need us to go and meet them, still let us go and talk to them. Bhavani etat samadhina. Ayam hi paramo labo. This is a perfect benediction. What is that? Nranam sadhu samagama. The taking association of the sadhus, the pure devotees of the Lord who doesn't want anything material, but only thinking about doing pure devotional service to the Lord, those sadhus, meeting them is the highest perfection. And here Lord Shiva is also thinking, let me get that perfection by going and meeting Lord, the Markandeya Muni. So like that, through the activities of Lord Shiva also, the glories of Lord Vishnu and glories of devotees who are taking shelter of Lord Vishnu is being brought out. And then here, Vidura is asking about the Lord Vishnu's activities also. And then Prabhupada is saying, even Vishnu is also a Gunavatar and not a final authority. And of course, this is somewhere I am little bit, maybe doing little speculation. There are various activities of Lord Vishnu in the Bhagavatam, and they are not it is not that they are not to be taken shelter, but they are glorious. But Lord Vishnu comes in various avatars. First is the Purusha avatar, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, where he is doing the activities of creation. He is providing the place to live for the conditioned living entities so that they can fulfill their desires of sense gratification in one sense. And then there is a Gunavataras, and then there is Manvantara Avataras, and then there is Yuga Avataras. So all these are there to take care of the material world. The way that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So all these incarnations of Vishnu, they come and they establish dharma. Essentially, they clear all the miscreants, they protect the sadhus, they clear off all the miscreants who are doing trouble in this material world, and they establish a stability in this material world. And many times when common people, they go to the Vishnu and worship for the stability. So the place, the need, the people ask for stability is so that they can continue with their sense gratification. Oh Lord, please give me a stable life so that my sense gratification in this world does not get any trouble. So that is also there. Vishnu comes as the establisher of the dharma, but many times people consider him as this person is very nice. Whenever we have any difficulty, we can go to him and ask him, and then he will clear off all the troubles. And that's why people also keep on asking, Kali Yuga is progressing so much. When is Lord going to take avatar? He should take avatar and he should clear off all the miscreants so that they can continue with their sense gratification nicely. But Bhagavatam also clarifies what is the purpose of the dharma also. In the very first canto of Bhagavatam, he says, Dharma swanustita pumsha vishvakshena katha shriyat na utpadayet yadirati shrama yevahi kevalam. Even if you are following all dharmas very perfectly, dharma swa anushtita, very perfectly you are following dharma. Vishvakshena katha shriyat na utpadayet yadirati. If you are not developing interest to hear the topics of the Lord, then all of your performance of dharma is only waste. So for that purpose also is been pointed out again and again in this Bhagavatam. The ultimate goal is not that Lord Vishnu comes and establishes dharma over here, but the ultimate purpose of Lord Vishnu to come over here and to do various activities is the way the Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So ultimate purpose is when we know the janma and karma activities of the Lord in tattvataha, after leaving this body, we doesn't have to come back again. So Bhagavatam is very, at one point clearly presents, it is not Vishnu who is the ultimate, but it is the Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Bhagavatam starting the description is there about who is the ultimate source of this entire creation. Who is the ultimate tattva. And then Sutta Goswami is discussing about that, and then he comes to the point and he says, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. That supreme absolute truth is being called in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And then in the next chapter, Sutta Goswami goes on describing that Bhagavan is taking various incarnations, and then there is a long list of incarnations up till Lord Krishna, Kalki. And then this verse comes, Ete chamsa kalapamsha krishnastu bhagavan swayam. All the remaining are just the avatars, but this Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan. This is the same Bhagavan which I have referred to as Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. That Bhagavan is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The Krishna is presented as the original source, and then taking shelter of Krishna is presented as the ultimate goal. So, Brahmaji and Lord Vishnu's Samvad also, there also it comes. After giving the Chatushloki, no, this is in the next chapter, 3rd canto, 9th chapter, it again comes. Lord Vishnu gives darshan to Brahmaji, and then he gives various instructions. And towards the end of his instructions, Lord Vishnu says, Aham atmatmana dhata preshta san preyasamapi. Ato mayi ratim kurya dehat yat krite priyaha. I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearmost. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. So this is what Krishna has instructed to Brahma, and that's what Bhagavatam is taking further. So as an ending note, just want to recollect, this is one point presented by Radhika Raman Prabhu, Ravi Gupta, when he was presenting about the evolution of the human consciousness and how the religiosity in various places it evolves. He says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, various living entities, the more human beings are the best, the more better among the human beings are those who are following dharma. So there is a normal understanding also. A human being may think of himself as supreme perfect. He, by his own endeavor, he may want to get everything done. But after some time, he understands that there are some higher powers, and he needs to be subservient to them. He understands. And that is the time when people start doing Devata worship. They identify that there are some entities who are more powerful, and I need to be subservient. And I can take their help, and I need to be in cooperation with them. That is the whole Devata worship, it can start. And at some place, people may worship even Vishnu also. As they are worshipping any other Devatas, people can worship even Lord Vishnu also. But Prabhuji was mentioning at what point the Vaishnavism actually starts. It's when the worshipper goes to the Supreme Lord, the deity whom he is worshipping, and then he says, you are standing over here so long, just waiting for someone. It seems your activity is only that people will come in front of you, they will put their troubles, and you are going to fulfill their needs. And the worshipper, he goes and asks, do you also have some needs? So the way I have some needs, you may be also having some needs. You may be also feeling hungry. You may be also feeling lonely. You may be also need some need of a companionship. Can I serve you? That's what a living entity evolves and asks the Supreme, the deity whom he is worshipping. And that's desire is not coming out of getting anything from that particular deity, that form of the whom he is worshipping. It is purely, let me do something for this person who is always standing over here and just fulfilling the desires. So that's where the Vaishnavism starts, where the devotee doesn't think about what he is getting, but he thinks about how can I serve the Supreme Lord and how can I develop a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. So Bhagavatam ultimately presents that, where a person approach the Supreme Lord not with the desire for getting something, but for doing something for the Lord and developing a relationship with the Supreme Lord. So I wind up my presentation over here. So we just seen how the Bhagavatam has come over here, the discussion that is happening between Vidura and Maitreya. It is all the series of various questions that which Parikshit Maharaj was asking to Shukadeva Goswami at various places, and there is a long list of questions that Parikshit Maharaj asked, so that the discussion of Lord Krishna doesn't end. And in the similar lines, Vidura is also asking Maitreya Muni various questions, so that these questions will open up into the discussion of the about the Supreme Lord. And regarding the purport, Prabhupada is speaking about the ultimate goal is not even Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So where we connect to Him as Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyana Vritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. So in that pure devotion, we just connect to Krishna. So thank you very much for your patience listening. So we close here. Because of lack of time, we will not take any questions. We can meet later. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
ब्रह्मदेवाय नमः। तुम निसंदेही महाबलशाली हो। मेरे भाई का हत्यारा आज भी जीवित है।
यदि विष्णु से लड़ना है, ब्रह्मदेव की उपासना करो।
ब्रह्मदेवाय नमः।
हिरण्यकश्यपु, मांगो, क्या वर मांगना चाहते हो?
सब कुछ। हे ब्रह्मदेव, मुझे वरदान दीजिए कि आपकी रचना से जन्मे इस सृष्टि के किसी भी जीव से मेरा वध ना हो। न मैं दिन में मरूं और न रात में। मेरी मृत्यु न घर के भीतर हो और न घर के बाहर। न अस्त्र से, न शस्त्र से, न सजीव से, न निर्जीव से।
अंधकार जब हद से बढ़ जाता है, वहाँ प्रकाश का पुनर्जन्म होता है।
प्रहलाद, माँ, मैं तब तक भगवान विष्णु का गुणगान करता रहूंगा जब तक सारे भक्त मुक्त न हो जाएं। एक नाम से सबकी मुक्ति है।
पुत्र, विष्णु का परित्याग कर।
मैं भगवान विष्णु को अपना शत्रु कदापि नहीं मानता।
भगवान को छोड़ दो।
मैं प्रहलाद को मृत्यु दंड देता हूँ।
हम असुर हैं, असुर। ये सब तुच्छ खेल हमारे गुरुकुल में शोभा नहीं देता है।
वे जैसा चाहे वैसा मेरे साथ कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि वे हर परिस्थिति में मेरे स्वामी हैं।
तो बुलाओ सर, आज ये निर्णय हो जाए कि हम दोनों के बीच गीदड़ कौन है और सिंह कौन है।